Hey everybody, just looking at the calendar. It's tough, especially in Saratoga. Maybe it's that way for summer in general, but I've known from just my life and personal experience, just sometimes maybe not so much the weekday, but the actual date, it's tough at times to keep track of. So this is the penultimate Wednesday of July. We're glad everyone's here. It's Jason, Tommy, and Joe. Welcome aboard on this West Point WPT in 25. I just got back to the house after a morning of training, and it's good seeing you guys, but if I and there's usually a hierarchy in life with most things. Danielle Austin has arrived, guys, in
Oh
Saratoga. So I
wow,
think,
oh,
yeah,
man.
she's sort of the flight line of the group. I like seeing
The
you
friend.
guys. Doing this podcast is great, but to be honest, you two are no match for Danielle.
Stop the presses. Danielle Austin is in town. That's no, it's hard to argue with that. She's the star of the show.
Yeah, very hard
What
to
if she
argue.
doesn't
I can
want to be?
imagine.
She's the star of the show.
Yeah, there's no question about it. So I think she was a little jet lagged with the 3 hour time difference. It was a whirlwind weekend for Danielle out at Del Mar on opening day, and through opening weekend we had, of course, Soho run so well on opening Saturday. Have either of you guys ever done an opening day out at Del Mar? Because I haven't.
Last
Oh,
summer was my first time there. I think it was like the second week of the meet. So nope.
just Giant Games Breeders' Cup is the one trip I made out there. Hopefully, make another trip here soon later this year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, it's funny. All three of us have been there a single time. I was with you, Tommy. I had well, not just started. That was 8 months or so into my new job for West Point Thoroughbreds. But no, the Giant Game Sequest Breeders' Cup was awesome, and he had run. We just mentioned him last week with that saddle towel behind you. He had run so well behind Corniche
Pop a cap.
and Papa Cap. I was gonna say Mark
Fancy.
Cassie had a scat daddy. It was like Papa Freddy or something like
Yeah.
that. Papa Cap. In the juvenile that year, but all good. Everything's good. This morning, actually, let me share my screen really fast here. Hold on. Let me do one thing here. Good. Let's do that. We had a bunch of horses. West Point did on the track as far as training this morning, which was good. I got to see Sandman, who did not breeze, just merely gallop today. But Atomic Blonde, and again, he's going to play like you guys. He's going to play second fiddle to Danielle arriving in town. But got to see Dallas Stewart for a bit, and along the Dallas lines we have got, and you could say stop the press, guys. We've got Bourbon's Fault and the Spun to Run filly, Ivory and Ebony. And here she is. I mean, take a look at her.
She's something else.
Whew.
Every time, and I just saw her on Saturday at Churchill, so it's awesome to see her up in New York. But she's just a beautiful, beautiful horse, and continues to surprise me. I can't wait to get her into the gate and see what she can do in a racetrack.
Hyper, and we love Dallas. I mean, to know Dallas is to love Dallas. He's just one of those people you go along through life if you're fortunate enough to meet. Always in a good mood. I mean, I've just never seen the guy down. He's one of those people that even if you're in a good mood or you're having a good day, like he'll make it better. And if you're having a bad day, well, that's great timing on your part. Um, but Dallas and hyperbole kind of run hand in hand.
Yeah.
Dale's like him too, right? I mean, every horse, oh, love this horse, they're doing great. But I will say he thinks the Spun to Run filly is very talented, and I know he's also really happy with how Bourbon's Fault shipped in. Which, Joe, I got to think that horse off his return at Churchill a few weeks ago wasn't a bad effort by any stretch. I mean, I think just conventional wisdom says he's supposed to be that much better with that start under his belt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the only thing I kind of worry about with the way that the track is playing is he doesn't necessarily have like that run it and gun it speed that I think you kind of need these days on the Saratoga main. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. But yeah, you got to figure he's going to be fitter for this race. He's going to get a mild stretch out. And yeah, the spun to run filly, like Ira and Ebony, you don't have to take it from Dallas. Like you can watch the videos, you can see that she hasn't missed a beat since the sale. And she's not the type that anybody was going to rush into racing in August. You know, we think she's going to be a 2-turn filly long term, but she's just done everything right and she's pretty much ready to go. So she's kind of tipped herself. She didn't really need Dallas all that much.
No, definitely not. I shot some video, which I'll post after the podcast, of her just galloping, routine gallop over the training track, and that's her right there. But I remember the day we bought her, and again, always gonna be honest and certainly tell the truth. Like I remember standing next to her with the back at the barn video I did, and some of the new people that jumped in on her, or current partners that I brought her up to potentially jump in on and buy a piece of. Like there was just something, look in her eyes. She had a really special presence and special way and just overall like vibe about her. Might sound a little corny, but no, we're fans and we're excited to see her run. And Joe, I mean, you're right at home in the Cassie barn. You know, I'm excited for Sandman's second start here on August 10th, and he'll go a little longer. But what I'm really thinking, I'm like, man, next year as a 3-year-old, I mean, hopefully we have a huge second half to his 2-year-old season. But I mean, this horse, Sandman, next season at 3, he's going to be a monster.
Yeah, no, I think that he's got that kind of pedigree that he's going to get better as he gets older and stretches out. He's got such a good mind, especially for a Tappet, that with that pedigree and the way he strides, I just refuse to believe that there's not a superstar lurking inside of him. Might not be in the next start, might not be in the next start. It might take him a little bit of time to get to that top level, but the vibes are still undeniably good around him, and for great reason.
Definitely. So just a quick recap. We had not limited starters, but it was a quiet, like, first full week, Wednesday through Sunday at Saratoga. We had a few horses run out of town. I thought Dripping Gold and Lady Mia, who both ran second on Haskell Eve, they both gave a very good account of themselves, and really no issue with either of their efforts. Very practical, might need a slight dip in class. And I told Shug when I stopped by the barn Sunday morning, I'm like, Shug, we're on board. Whatever you want to do with her, we're good. We're good with. But I will say, Kendra Carmouche thought she handled the turf nicely and said she galloped out well. What about Soho, Tommy? I mean, pretty much did everything right in that race on opening day at Del Mar. Just got a little outfinished there in deep stretch.
Yeah, I mean, she did all the heavy lifting. You can see the run line there. I mean, she led the whole way around. I thought, Hector Barrios had her in a perfect spot. I was liking the fraction that I was seeing, and I had my eye on that Baffert horse because I figured it was going to sit right off of us like it did, and just try to make its way around us on top of the stretch, make the move. They did, and regardless, I thought so ran huge, especially for an opening weekend at Del Mar. I mean, those are all very tough spots. So for her to run that well and show up like that was very encouraging. And I thought she looked great doing it as well.
And then Scatify did not have the best of trips or the cleanest of trips in the Oceanside Stakes. I want to hear both your guys' thoughts. Joe, I'll start with you. I mean, what'd you think of the race? What do you think of him potentially? If you're in charge, what are you thinking about moving forward? Turf, dirt, long, short? Hit me with it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he got roughed up a little bit in the stretch, but if I'm being honest, like the horses that roughed him up were going by him. I think it was one of those situations where the hole was going faster than he was. And I thought it was somewhat disappointing effort. I wonder, he did kind of back out of there once he got bumped. I wonder if that race from earlier this year in the San Felipe is still in the back of his head somewhere when he got really roughed up in that race. To me, I think he's going to end up being a sprinter. Like, I know Justifies can do anything, but the Dam was a 5-furlong turf specialist. I thought maybe possibly his best race outside of the San Vicente or whatever race it was earlier this year where he ran third. I thought his best race was that turf sprint where he was diving through traffic and almost got up. So I think turf sprinting or on the dirt 6-7 furlongs would be his future if I were calling the shots.
And what about it, Tommy? I mean, do you agree with Joe?
Yeah, I think dirt sprinting is going to end up being his bread and butter. I always keep going back to that race at Keeneland he ran, which I thought was a bang up race, and just kind of got caught late. And that really seemed to me where he was most comfortable doing that kind of running, where Obviously, like you said, he's been roughed up coming for home in a couple races or going into the first turn like it was earlier this year. So sprinting, it kind of takes some of that out of it, and maybe he even knows that. But I just think dirt sprinting is kind of, in my mind, if it was up to me, I'd toss him back in, going 6, 7, just like Joe said, sprinting and see what he can do.
Yeah, I've really not changed. I've been kind of steadfast as far as Scatify being a one turn horse. Just watching his races, I don't think for me he's gotten stronger late in those races around 2 turns. With his speed and that cruising speed that he's got, I've really always felt 7/8 to a mile, 1 turn is the sweet spot for him. So again, John will come up with the plan moving forward. He's a very, very nice horse. I mean, he's taken us on a fun ride, a fun journey so far in terms of stakes races. So stay tuned with Scatify's 3-year-old season. But I'm looking like the rest of the guys, whether he's on the grass, whether John turns him back. I'm just looking forward to him getting back on track. We also, gang, before we jump over and give a little preview of the Caress, we've got the Jim Dandy. They're drawing the Bowling Green today. We've got with Ohana Honor and then Sedona on Sunday. We've got a big week coming up here at Saratoga, specifically over the weekend. The Haskell was a thriller. It wound up being basically a carbon copy of the Belmont Stakes. Were you guys like me around 3/8 pole, the 3/8 pole mid-turn, thinking Mindframe was basically like 1-20 to just run away with this thing?
I mean, the way he rolled up on the leader, like it was an extremely menacing move. But Dornoch, just to me, you can't deny him anymore. And I'm a guy who's overlooked him for most of the year. He's got the will to win, and he's turning back, I think, pound for pound, a more talented horse. But it doesn't necessarily matter who's the more talented horse. If your horse is able to dig down deep and show that guts, fight back, to me, he's the leader in the clubhouse in the 3-year-old division, and you got to respect him now. He's done it on the biggest stages now twice, and yeah, even right here, I think Mindframe is about 4 to 5 to go by, and he cost himself again a little bit drifting out, but you got to give a lot of credit to Dornoch. He just keeps battling.
Yeah, this was a horse I greatly underestimated. I thought, and had again doing our show throughout late winter into the Derby, he was a horse whose claim to fame was I thought his Fountain of Youth was an average effort, and again, his Remsen was as dressed up could be riding that gold rail. However, and again, I thought he rode a very speed friendly track in the Belmont. This was the race where Joe's reaction was pretty much mine. Like, you know what? I'm not giving this horse his due. And it's amazing, Tommy, how Dornoch, like, he'll lull other horses in and they'll come up to him with a full head of steam and he'll just turn them back. I mean, it's that gameness and that sort of rope-a-dope style that he's got. I mean, it's really something. I can't think of too many top class level horses like him that are as determined and have the amount of moxie that he's got when all the chips are on the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because, like Joe was saying, like you guys were just talking about, I mean, there's so many different points this stretch run where you think he's beat and you think he's just going to get roped in by Mindframe, and he finds an extra gear, he finds that extra whatever he's got just to be able to get to the wire. Now he's done it twice against Mindframe, who still is extremely lightly raced, but I don't think anyone can deny how talented Mindframe is. But it's funny. Dornoch was always Mage's little brother. That's how I always kind of thought of him. Mage's little brother. Now he's gone on to win back-to-back Grade 1, something Mage never did. So it's maybe time to start talking about him or start talking to Mage as Dornoch's older brother.
I think you're right. I mean, yeah, the Derby's the Derby. I mean, that's the race. I mean, there's only one Kentucky Derby, but in terms of a potential Eclipse Award and heading into the second half of the 3-year-old season, I mean, it's his championship award to lose. Like if he wins the Travers, which again, we haven't run the Jim Dandy yet, and here it is, and Pony Express for Mike Talon, West Point, and 3 Chimneys is about to make that cross-country coast-to-coast trek for Mr. John Sadler, which is cool. But yeah, no, I mean, the Travers and that Eclipse Award is his race to lose. So what about it, gang? I mean, Joe, I'll start with you. Give me your overview. Let me just also say, I want to hear what your thoughts on the race. So clearly a very ambitious spot for Pony Express. Like, he's going to have to improve a lot to run with these horses.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt he's going to be clearly the longest shot in the field, probably 25-1 or so, even in a 6-horse field. The only thing I'll say is I think the race, if he's able to sit off the pace a little bit, I think the race might set up for him because you got Seize the Gray, you got Fierceness, you've got Batten Down, so you've got horses that are going to be on the engine. If he can just kind of sit that little pocket 4th trip and make his run, he might get the jump on Sierra Leone. But yeah, man, this is the kind of race where if he runs 3rd or 4th, we should be celebrating, and we should be confirmed. We should have confirmed that we have a really, really nice 3-year-old on our hands, because this is a tall task, even forgetting the cross country ship, which that alone takes a lot out of a horse sometimes. But now you got this basically is a grade 1 race. I don't care what the actual grade is. This is a grade 1 caliber field. So I'm hoping that he'll fall into a good trip. But yeah, this is a tall task for sure.
So Tommy, you're doing picks 1, 2, 3. I mean, who do you like? Who do you like in the Jim Dandy?
Just purely based off of form, and he's due for one. I'm to take Fierceness on top. I think the way the track is played, if he gets loose at Saratoga, he's going to be really hard to catch. And obviously, that's kind of the name of the game, and that's what I expected from him in the Derby. He never got loose, and we all know what happened there. Batten Down's another horse that intrigues me. I was a huge Tacitus fan. It's full Tacitus. Just a horse that don't know if the horse can go with Fierceness. I'm sure it's going to want to, but just finding a horse to try to sit off of that, and he intrigued me a little bit there. And then, the one closing horse, who's probably going to be a second choice to Fierceness, is going to be on the rail with Sierra Leone. Just he's the one true closer in the race, and if you have almost half the field or then some going straight to the front, going quick fractions, it's due to blow up, and he's gonna have his moment to shine finally, closing in the middle of the track.
Joe, what about you? 1, 2, 3s here. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to pick Sierra Leone on top. I just think he leaves himself with too much to do, and especially with the way the track has been playing, haven't seen that many deep closers winning. Yeah, I'm with Tommy. I like Batten Down. I just think he's the now horse. I think he's getting good at the right time, and Fierceness obviously has been an in and outer throughout his career. So I'll take Batten Down on top. I'll do Fierceness second, and then I'll take Sierra Leone third. Is that exactly what Tommy said, right?
No, I went Fierceness, Batten Down,
Okay.
Sierra Leone. So
right.
I mean, you can just box the top two, and
there you go.
Keep Sierra Leone third.
It's a fascinating matchup. I mean, it really is. And then fascinating matchup. Just even if it was a 4-horse field and you only had Sierra Leone against Fierceness and like 2 other horses that were long shots, but then you factor in Batten Down in the race, who it's got like the classic Juddmonte pedigree, getting better and better. You got a Preakness winner in there and Seize the Gray. It really is a phenomenal, multi-plot line Jim Dandy. I'm so anxious to see how Fierceness is going to run. Stamina with this horse, or at least distance limitations, we're going to see, can he go? Because as you guys know, going a mile and a furlong on this main track at Saratoga is I know we got the distance at Gulfstream. This is like a 3-mile race when compared to Gulfstream Park, just in terms of the endurance and how you can see it watching the 9 furlong races at Saratoga. I mean, they are usually grind fests, and a lot of horses just simply cannot go this distance. So this is a pivotal race for Fierceness. Is he a horse that maybe at Gulfstream you could get away with it, but is he a horse maybe at his best out to a mile per se? Yeah, fascinating. It's going to be a lot of fun. Post time of pretty much 5:45 on Saturday. And then, guys, on Sunday, we will have Sedona racing, which is phenomenal. And it'll be tough because we've got to run against Silver Knot, but very excited about Ohana Honor, who's just gotten better and better and better in the Bowling Green. And I got to tell you guys, I had not pressured Shug, but I made my 2 cents known to him that of the two, the UN was the spot that I had preferred. And as I posted on Chatter, I think Sunday morning, I was glad we stayed home. I just, with that get smoking from Mark Cassie, whose barn has been in fuego, I just wonder how Ohana would have fared on that turf course, the way the UN played out in general. So we're gonna find out, Joe. I mean, does he keep improving from, what was it, the Man of War to the Manhattan? Do we get another step forward from Ohana on Sunday?
Yeah, well, the thing I like about it is we're going a mile and 3/8, right? Is the Bowling Green distance?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So I think, the Manhattan was 10 furlongs. I think if that race were a mile and 3/8, he at least would have been second. So yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if there's a Charlie Appleby monster that runs everybody off their feet. But I'd love for him to see him keep improving, hopefully at least getting the exacta. And I just think, it's been proven that the more ground, the better for him. So even if he's like a closing third in here, I feel pretty good about the mile and a half and the sword dancer, because this is, he has proven to be that kind of quality. And you just want, like you say, you just want to see him keep taking that one step forward each race, which he's done pretty much since we made him a ridgeling. I love the fact that he's getting out to 11 furlongs and up for these next two races.
And Sedona, Tommy, I'm Shug even cracked a half smile mentioning last Sunday that she had breezed so flawlessly last Saturday at Fairhill that we were going to enter today for Sunday with IRAD and that A. Other than, I'm excited. Of course, I'm excited to see her run because she's been right there and so solid in all three of her races.
Yeah, I agree. Basically everything you just said. I'm pumped to get her back, and of course having Irad in the irons is about as best thing you could ask for at Saratoga right now with a horse like her. We know her effort was great last out and just missed, but I expect a big one from her. Kind of really show what kind of class she has and what she's all about. And obviously with Torpedo Anna leading that 3-year-old division right now, you never know. A door could be wide open if she decides to take off and run against the boys in the Travers for a big spot there later on for 3-year-olds.
Yeah, so I just actually pulled up or hit play on the Parnack Carson's run video. That's a good question. And again, we could spend the next 4 hours extolling the virtues and superlatives of Torpedo Anna. None of it will really be new ground other than the obvious, like how I'm not going to call her great yet. She's very good. But let me ask you guys. You're in charge. You're Kenny McPeak. Joe, what about you? You running in the Travers, or do you keep her in against 3-year-old fillies in the Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, I was more gung ho about running the Travers before I saw that the buyer came back so slow for the race on Saturday. She ran 95, so she's got to step it up from that. But she just did it so effortlessly, especially after the slow break. Like, that was just no issue for her. I've never seen a horse break a step slow and then be right up on the lead so quickly in my life. Like, it was like 2-3 strides after she broke slowly. She was right up on the front runner's heels. She's got that incredible kind of acceleration. She's got the tactical speed. Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of taking shots with the horses, doing something outside the box. That's what Kenny McPeak is famous for. It served him well in a lot of instances. I think a Swiss skydiver a handful of years ago. I know it's one of Tommy's favorites. Yeah, why not, man? Like, she's so clearly better than the 3-year-old fillies. And then you can jump right back into filly company after the race. I'd say take a shot.
All right, what about you, Tommy? Do you run? Do you run in the Travers and just forego being 1-5 in the Alabama?
I probably would. I mean, like Joe just said, Kenny's done it before with Skydiver, who he was right, is one of my all-time favorites. So why not try it again? I'd worked with her in the Preakness. I could work with her in the Travers. So, and after that last effort, I mean, it like Joe said, it's pretty obvious that she is so much better than the rest of the 3-year-old fillies right now that losing in the Travers, say she were to run, wouldn't hurt her chances, I don't think, in an Eclipse Award regardless. And say she does lose, you can go right back, drop back in against those fillies and just run there for the rest of the year. Say she goes to Travers and wins, then it gets really interesting on what he would do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the other side. Like I keep her with 3-year-old fillies in the Alabama, hopefully win that. I mean, you're talking like a sweep of the Acorn Coaching Club in Alabama. I mean, in terms of history with the greatest 3-year-old fillies of all time, I mean, that is rarefied air. And then I likely go Spinster at Keeneland and then BC Distaff and think about bringing her back against the boys next year. You got a blank slate for a 4-year-old season, but no, she is a very good one. Her and Next are my two, forgetting about the West Point horses in terms of just horses in general. Her and Next are definitely my two favorite horses in training. They're both like throwback horses. I just, like a lot of people, get a lot of joy about watching them race and compete. So I had pulled, and we just watched it, the Carson's Run Parnack video from Sunday morning over on the training turf course, and it was neat just for me filming, getting to watch the two of them, and then 3 minutes later, Cugino and Ohana are out there. I mean, this is, as I said in the video, I think with the Cugino Ohana video, I mean, this is what you live for. I mean, we've got West Point Stakes horses. All of them have big spots coming up at the spa. But I wanted to bring up something this morning before we signed off. Had a very good conversation with Dylan Davis, who of course was aboard Carson's Run in that breeze we just looked at, and rode the horse for us last year in a Grade 1 winning 2-year-old season. Terry, Danielle, and I were chatting with him, and he's obviously gotten off to a monstrous start here at the meet, which is great to see. And he's like right on the cusp at getting to the next level. I mean, he's so close. And, you keep up winning and having 4-win days or 3-win days at Saratoga, you're going to get there. But Terry asked him with Heisa, and again, there's been a culture change on the back stretch. You've got multiple checkpoints that each horse has to go through, just from the vet to the training, medication, right on down the line. I've always thought about Heisa and just the state of affairs in the game from the horses standpoint, because we love horses. I mean, everything I have in my life is because of the Thoroughbred, and not only a career and material things and food on the table, but the game for me, and I don't think you guys would disagree. I mean, the game, from the first time I went to Belmont, the game has given my life meaning and purpose. It just, I mean, I can't say it any more simpler than that. Terry asked Dylan the difference. Does he feel a difference just in terms of like being in the post parade, looking at horses, being on horses pre-race in the post parade, as far as their soundness and a jockey's confidence, knowing that horse that he or she is sitting on has had to go through pretty stringent protocols just to make the entry box, and then to pass the vet, multiple vets, to get into the paddock with the saddle on their back in the afternoon. And Dylan said, yeah. He said, yeah, no, there's definitely a difference. And he said, I find myself now not really second guessing myself. Like, if you're sitting on a horse come race day, that horse, again, has gone through the entire Heisa machine in a good way, that you're going to be sitting on a sound horse. So I wanted to bring it up. I thought it was a very, just an important conversation, and from a jockey standpoint that I hadn't thought of previously.
No, I mean, that's a good point. I think about that too sometimes. Like, you hear a lot about the trainers in the Heisa world, in terms of, are the trainers doing the right thing by the horses? Are the trainers putting the horses in danger? You don't really think about the people on their backs. And I worried a lot of times, I still do sometimes, when I see horses like taking steep class drops. I just worry about everybody that's involved, the horse, the rider. And it's great to hear that Dylan said that, because yeah, they're an important piece of this whole ballet that we do. And it's just, they got to feel safe too. It's not just about the trainers and about the horses, it's about the guys on their back. And that's great to hear.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And obviously Heisa, within the last 4 or 5 years, however long it's been, has, I think, been game changing for the game. And to hear that he can feel a difference and see one while he's on a horseback, looking at his horse, looking down, looking at his competitors riding other horses, to know that he feels safe, they all feel safe and are confident in their horse to make it around the track, get home safely. All the horses, all the jockeys too, is just great to hear, especially after the last couple years we've had with all these different, troubles and everything else we've run into. That's fantastic.
I will also add, and well said, gentlemen. I was like, dude, how did Carson's feel on Sunday? So got the two thumbs up. He said he's doing great. He feels great. There hasn't been a millisecond he's been on the horse since that crazy race back in April when he made basically like a 90-degree right hand turn off the quarter pole. He said he's been great switching leads, so doing well, and we'll see. You got the Saratoga Derby where we also have Cugino or the Hall of Fame the day before, but I get the vibe the Clements are leaning towards the Saratoga Derby. But again, nothing set in stone. Oh, by the way, guys, don't look back at all tomorrow. I apologize with the three-year-old picture, kind of taking center stage and Torpedo Anna winning. We've got her in on Thursday in the Caress Stakes. Tough spot. I mean, that's a very important race for that division. Maybe it was a division that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, didn't really necessarily exist. So it's been neat, these sort of races along the way that have just, in terms of their significance and importance, have really come to the fore. And I think the Caress, being a graded stake for 200K is one of those races. And you can pretty much, everyone east of the Mississippi, or most of them that are near the top of that division, are pretty much in the race, including her stablemate, Roses for Deborah. Good luck to Don't Look Back at all, Joe. I mean, hit me with it. It is not an easy spot, but she has earned her way into the field.
Yeah, I mean, she's run 12 times. She's been in the exact 10 of those times. She shows up no matter what the pace scenario is, no matter what the surface is, no matter what the track is. So I have full confidence in her every time they lead her over there to the track, no matter what the competition is. And, who knows? If Roses for Deborah doesn't run her A race, I think we're right there with everybody else.
She just tries so hard, right, Tommy? I mean, win, lose, or draw, you're getting an A+ level effort out of Don't Look Back at all.
Every time. That's what I love about her so much. Like Joe said, anywhere you can send that horse, she's gonna run, give it her best. She's gonna give everything she's got in the tank, and that's all you can ask for. And then when you get horses that run like that, you're due to show up in big spots. So it'd be fantastic for her to run well, show up big, and hopefully come home picking up a check.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's a huge few days up here. I mean, with Don't Look Back at all into the weekend with the Jim Dandy, Sedona, the Bowling Green, Whitney week next week and weekend, and then we've got the Phasig sale coming up. So yeah, exciting times for sure. Always good catching up for a few minutes with you guys. We'll get you here, right, Tommy, for the Whitney, right?
Yeah, Whitney Day and for the sale.
Beautiful. And Joe, you'll be back in town, correct?
Yeah, I'll be there for the sale days for sure.
All right, great. Well, let's get them. Good luck, safe trips to all our horses. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you. We'll catch you next time. Hopefully, Mother Nature and the weathermen, they cooperate here, both with Don't Look Back at all, with the turf tomorrow and through the weekend. But let's go get them, boys. Always good catching up, and we'll catch everybody next time here on WPT and 20 or 25 or 30.